Dickie Dread, New Age Travellers, A History, 1960 to 1990. Acknowledgements, and there's plenty of people to acknowledge. For proofreading and an introduction, the lovely soul that is Mark Sleigh. See his books in the bibliography. For further proofreading and fact-checking, Mike Dines. See his books in the bibliography. For kindly allowing me to use his artwork in the book, The Wonder That Is Dave Stuck. See his books in the bibliography. For kindly sending me high-resolution copies of his iconic photography, the amazing Alan Lodge. Brackets Tash, as everyone knows him. For Cole Stretch Payne's fantastic sketch. For the Cuckoo Cruise symbol, other line drawings and general artistic support, Monsieur Nigel Adams. For inspection, feedback, photographs and help with the fact-checking, and this is no particular order, Chris Bowser, Dave Sanger, Corky, Stu Shotness, John Armitage, Emily Janes, Dave Stuck, Mick Baker, Celtic Steve, Keith Bailey, Pete Knowles, Wally Dean, Leaf Yospa, Sid Hope, Little Lisa, Christian Austin, Mark Thompson, Steve Bubble, Luke Domingo, Richard Humphrey Jickow, Moore Liam, Mark Evans, Gary Broom, Steve Kooky Kook, Steve Leyland, Ratty, Kate Jones, Ian Horrible, Beth, Marnie and Andy, Garrod Phillips, Rose Brash, George Miles, Lizzie Adams, Francis Stoner, Tez Jennings, Saz Denny, and The Wandering Eye, Andrew Burden, Hugh Piggott, Tom Davidson, Angela Bell, Geraldine Lee, Sarah Sequin, Andy Roberts, and Mike Dines. And there in the picture you can see the two legends, Alan Lodge Tash on the left and Dave Stuck there on the right. I've taken quite a few figures from various websites and social media platforms. I've tried to disclose the source where possible, will probably have failed in places. I apologise this for advance and thank the source up front. If anyone feels that I've used their material without due citation, please let me know and I'll amend the book. I thank my beautiful Erica for putting up with me and all my friends for supporting my author work. And here you can see my main punk influence as a teenager and wonderful artist, Nigel Adams. Dedication. This book is dedicated to all the travellers who have left us for the festival in the sky. As some of us grow older, more and more seem to be falling off the mortal coil, often far too soon. But let's be honest, we chose a difficult though rewarding path. A path often met with hatred, abuse and violence. Why? Because we wanted to be free, to live our own terms. Fuck their system with its nasty, hate-filled zombie existence. Blessings to all the fallen warriors. May this help keep the story alive for the generations still to come. Introduction by Mark Sleigh. I was just a kid the first time I saw a convoy of travellers roll through my village. I had no idea what I was watching, but I knew that it was something out of the ordinary. Who were these people? Where were they going? How did they live? They were like a lost tribe, an echo of an ancient way of life, a glimpse into the future, a noisy, colourful, disruptive ripple in the fabric of the universe. Their ramshackle trucks and painted buses like a scrapyard on the move, their crazy haircuts, their dogs riding shotgun and lapping up great gollops of air with their lolling tongues, the music blaring out of their stereos, their black flags flapping in the breeze. All of this was not normal, and it looked fascinating. Later, when I lived on the road, I cherished the dew-speckled dawns and the moon-bathed fire pits. I revelled in the pure, blissful freedom of being beholden to no one, of waking in the morning and choosing my own road. I discovered a community, a culture and a way of life, to my mind at least, though tough at times, offered riches beyond counting. For the most part, those days are gone. I'm not sure that any future children will ever stare goggle-eyed at the convoy passes. Times change, technologies evolve, society moves on, subcultures come and go. Groups that challenge the status quo must be shown the error of their ways. As successive governments clamp down ever harder on those who dwell on the margins, and as capitalism seeks to monetize every facet of human interaction, the New Age traveller way of life has become ever more hindered, stigmatised and criminalised. But it's a story worth telling. From the anarchist thinkers and the precursor youth cultures that planted the seed, to the punks and the free festival hippies who grew the roots. From the early days of the convoy, when shoots of vibrant life began to show, to the blossoming of the movement as more and more people decided that this was the life for them. From the violent trauma of the Battle of the Beanfield, when the state decided that this plant needed to be cut back, to the inevitable renewal that follows any pruning. It's a story that told around fire pits, and wherever veterans of the road still gather, and here it is in book form. Whether you've lived through some of it, or all of it, or none of it, even if just once you watched the convoy roll past and wondered who these people were, this book tells a tale that is essential to our understanding of modern times and what it is to be human. In the words of the great Jack Kerouac, author of On the Road, there was nowhere to go but everywhere, so just keep on rolling under the stars. So let's just keep rolling. Introduction to the author. Always seems a bit silly reading this out myself, but here you go. Dickie Dredd brings a rare blend of lived experience and scholarly rigour to his work. Emerging in the traveller and free festival scenes of the 1980s, he lived day to day in the squats and on the road, in buses, on fields, moving from festival to squatted site, witnessing firsthand the vibrant, often hostile world of the New Age traveller resistance. As a DJ, his heavy bass reggae, dub, ska and punk mixes make him a fixture in underground circuits, spinning tunes at many traveller run events. In the background, he became a university professor and a world-renowned researcher in precision engineering. He's authored multiple engineering textbooks, combining his technical background with his radical interests. Through his recent books on battling trauma, comedic tales of festival prowess, life as a New Age traveller, even a crusty cookbook, Dickie aims to keep the story alive for the next generation. Preface. There have been several books, films, zines, documentaries and fireside accounts that have attempted to chart the history of the so-called New Age travellers. Many of these are listed in the bibliography and tend to focus on specific chapters of the movement, particular festivals, key events like the Battle of the Beanfield, or thematic explorations of law, music or activism. For years, I've wanted to put together something more comprehensive. A history that doesn't just skip between headlines, but tries to weave together the broader story. But every time I started, the sheer complexity of the thing, the scale, the diversity, the arguments, the strong cultural feelings, made me back off. I was on the fringes of the movement from about 1983 onwards, joined the remnants of the Peace Convoy in 1986, so I wasn't there at the very beginning, or for every event. That means I've had to do a lot of research, talk to a lot of people, and piece a lot of things together carefully. While writing this, I've been painfully aware of the weight of it all. That this is more than just a subculture, it's a living, breathing piece of alternative history. So I've done my very best to be accurate, fair and inclusive. I've fact-checked, I've cross-checked, I've consulted with many in the community, especially those who were around in the early days, and I've reached out to families of those no longer attending festivals on this plane. The last thing I want to do is disrespect anyone's memory, contribution, culture or view of how it all went down. I've kept my own opinions mostly in check and have tried to let the facts and the voices of those who were there do the talking. The term New Age Traveller began to surface in the late 1970s and early 1980s. It was used to describe a growing group of people who fused nomadic lifestyles with spiritual curiosity, anarchist values and DIY living. But the phrase has never been straightforward. Some say it was first coined by journalists or local councils, a shorthand term for scruffy convoys and beaten up buses pitching up on greenbelt land. Others say it emerged from within the scene, half jokingly, half seriously, an identity carved out from the fringes. If you look up the term in the Oxford English Dictionary, it gives the earliest known use of the phrase New Age Traveller was in the 1980s, then states that the earliest evidence for the term is in 1986 in The Guardian. The New Age bit is often loaded, referring both to spiritual leanings, crystals, ley lines, Reiki, ancient rites and ecology, and to the broader countercultural current linked to self-sufficiency, mysticism, and post-hippie rebellion. But just as often, it was used mockingly. Some travellers embraced the term, others hated it. Most of them called themselves travellers, not because they were ignoring the other cultures the word can refer to, for example Romani, Irish travellers, but because they had chosen a road-based life as a conscious departure from mainstream living. By the early 1980s, as the free festival scene expanded and the peace convoy emerged, the term began appearing in newspapers with increasing regularity, often laced with fear and disdain. After the Battle of the Beanfield in 1985, the name became something weaponised. New Age traveller began to mean dirty, criminal and undesirable. The press, the police, the politicians used it as a shorthand for all sorts of things they didn't understand or didn't want the public to sympathise with. But behind the headlines was something very real, a loose network of people who were trying to live differently. Some came from hippie roots, some from punk squats, some were used to university dropouts, from failed communes or battered lives. They were building a culture, piece by piece, from the bus axles to sound systems, herbal medicine to anarchist literature. And it's the culture that this book is all about. First chapter looks back at the forerunners, the Teds, the hippies, the mods, the skins, the squatters, the punks. We'll dig into the cultural upheavals of the 1950s through to the 1970s, the music, politics, drug scenes and movements that paved the way for the traveller explosion. We'll ask what made people drop out and what they were dropping out of. Then we move through the decades, from the countercultural currents of the 1960s and 1970s into the chaos and beauty of the free festival years, and towards the state clampdown in the 1980s. The book will cover who we were, what we did, how we were treated and why we mattered. It will explore festivals like Windsor, Stonehenge and Deeply Vale, and look in depth at the Battle of the Beanfield, a turning point that still echoes in every roadblock and eviction. See Andy Worthington's book in the bibliography for a more in-depth account. The epilogue looks at where we are now. Travellers still exist, though the shape has changed. Some went into the rave culture, some into eco camps, some into quiet woods, and some into quiet defeat. Others kept going. You might ask, why stop at 1990? Simple. That era marked a major shift. After that, the traveller and rave scenes began to merge and change each other. And while I've got nothing but love and respect for the sound system warriors who followed, that scene is already well documented. This one, the wild, ragged, idealistic, pre-rave, post-hippie, convoy rattling, generator humming, dog on a string, leaky booted, coppers on the horizon world is less so. One omission from the book is the story of those travellers that took to water, the boaters, a strong if not growing community. I'm already in discussion with a prominent member of that community about a future book in this direction. The horse-drawn travellers are also underrepresented, despite playing an important and humbling role. Again, perhaps the subject of a future book. I know I've got things wrong in places. Maybe I missed a name, maybe I remembered something out of sequence, but I've tried, and I'm happy to be corrected. The book is a work in progress, just like the culture that made it. This one's for the beautiful lunatics who made the fields burn with light and music, for the outlaws and healers, the tinkerers and the musicians, the witches and the welders, the visionaries and the bus dwellers. We scared the shit out of polite society, then they beat us bloody. But we're still here, you fuckers. A bit older, maybe, but still standing. We ain't you. We never were. Keep your fucking world. As always, stay safe, stay well, fuck the system.